All right, there's a notebook on the bed because I'm going to be holding the rubric. Otherwise, this is the sweep of the room.
We've had to restart the video 3 times, so I have these written down. I just wrote them down. I'm not going to do it again, so I apologize, but I know these, so yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Can I come in?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Lyric. I'm a Southwest Tech nursing student. I have doctor's orders to do a head-to-toe assessment on you today. Can you please verify your name and birth date?
Amber Driscoll, March 5th, 1993.
I'll check your wristband. Amber, do you have any allergies?
No.
I'm going to provide privacy for my client before this examination. And I'm also going to use my cranial nerve piece of paper for my doctor's order. So I'm just going to verify that we're giving a head-to-toe assessment, and that is good. And I do not need gloves right now, but I will be putting them on at some point in the video. And so first thing I'm going to do is just ask some questions. Amber, do you have any problems with your vision?
I wear glasses.
Okay, and are you okay with driving while wearing your glasses at night?
Yep.
And are you having any blurry vision right now or
No.
any eye pain? Okay, good. And so I'm just going to look at the outside of your eyes and check to make sure that your eyebrows are symmetrical and your eyelids, and I don't see any drooping or anything like that, and your eyelashes are on fleek. Just kidding, yes they are. And I would also be looking at your conjunctiva and your sclera, and I see that your conjunctiva is nice and pink and your sclera is nice and white, and so that's what we want. I'm going to grab my pen light over here, and I'm going to check your pupillary response. So I'm going to just cover this eye and have you look at me.
Okay.
Or you could look at my ear if you wish. Just check. And I would check for the compensatory pupillary constriction. So we're just making sure that both are constricting, even if I'm only shining in one eye. And I'm going to do the other side. Okay, good to go. And I'm going to have you look at the tip of my pen and look way out there. Okay, check for your visual accommodation. And then I'm going to have you check we're going to do your peripheral vision and your visual field, so if you can cover one eye and just tell me when you see tip of the pen light.
Right there.
Okay, and your other side.
There.
Perfect. And now can you look at the tip of my pen light, and I'm just going to check your eye movements. Very good. And then I would also have Amber read a piece of paper. So if you could just read the top line for me there.
Optic equals peripheral.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go on and I'm going to look at your nose and your mouth and your neck and just make sure that everything's okay there. So I'm looking for symmetry of the nose, and I don't see any discharge or anything on the outside that looks abnormal. And I'm going to just feel your face, and I'm going to check your sinuses. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to feel the maxillary sinuses. Do you have any pain?
No.
And what about your frontal?
Nope.
Okay, all good there. And can you please plug one nostril for me and inhale with your nose and other side? Perfect. And now I'm going to put some gloves on because I'm going to be looking in her nasal cavities. And would you like me to hold your nose up, or would you like to hold your nose up?
I can do it.
Okay. So I'm just going to look inside her nasal cavities for any abnormal redness, any sores, or any swelling or inflammation that I see, and I don't see anything, so that side of your nose is good. And now I'm going to look at your lips. I'm just looking at the outside for any sores or lesions or anything like that, and I don't see anything. And can you please pull down your bottom lip and your top lip, and just kind of open up your mouth some. I'm checking her gums and her teeth, and her lips look good. And I'm going to have you stick your tongue out for me and look at the surface of her tongue, and then can you move your tongue left to right? And there's good tongue movement. And then can you open up your mouth and say, ah? Ah. Okay. And checking her tonsils and her oral pharynx. You can use a popsicle stick or a tongue depressor to look, but Amber does not like that, so we're not going to do that today. And I'm just going to keep my gloves on so I don't have to keep changing them. And I'm going to check your lymph nodes. Just for any swelling. So you have your occipital, your post-auricle, pre-auricle, your superficial, your post-cervical, and then your subclavicular. Do you have any pain with any of those?
No.
Okay, those all seem to be good. What am I forgetting? What am I forgetting?
I mean, some of the lymph nodes, but
How am I forgetting the lymph nodes?
you just forgot to. Go through them again. It's all right.
Okay, so I forgot 2 lymph nodes, so I'm just gonna go through this again. Okay, so checking lymph nodes, we would do the occipital, your post-auricle, your pre-auricle, superficial, post-cervical, and then your subclavicular. And I did forget the submental and the submandibular.
There you go.
Do you have any pain with any of those?
No.
Okay. And so we will move on to the ears. And so Amber, can you just pull your hair back a little bit? I'm going to look at the outside of the ears, make sure that they're symmetrical, and if there's like any lumps or anything like that, if they're uneven or anything like that, which those are good. And then I am going to check the inside of your ear. I would use an otoscope. So you pull back, look in, check the tympanic membrane, so that's good. And this side. And Amber, I did forget to ask you some questions about your ears. Do you have any ear pain today?
No.
Do you have any hearing loss? Is hearing loss common in your family or anything like that?
Just selectively.
Okay. And so then I'm also going to palpate your ears. So I'm just going to do both sides at the same time. We pull the pinna up, push it forward. I would push on your tragus and your mastoid process. And do you have any pain with any of those?
No.
Okay, that is good. And then I would just check for hearing. So I'm actually going to go behind you, and I want you to tell me what ear you could hear this better in.
Okay. This side?
Okay.
This side? Up top.
Okay, perfect. And so now I'm going to take the gloves off for a little bit. Wash my hands a little bit too. And I'm just going to check your skin and everything like that. And so I see that your color is good. You don't seem flushed. It's okay if I put the back of my hand on your cheek. And your temperature is good, so that's perfect. I'm just going to go in here and pinch a little bit underneath your collarbone. Check your skin sugar, and that is good. And then if you would like to put your hands out for me. And I'm just going to check your nails, see if there's any lesions or anything like that, and then the skin integrity around them. And I see that's perfect. And I'm also going to check the capillary refill up here. Less than 3 seconds, perfect. And then can you stick your arms way out? I'm checking for any contractures, fisculations, and tremors. So tremors, I see none. Contractures, I don't see any, and she's not having any fisculations either. And so then I would also do a capillary refill on her feet, but she does not like having her feet touched. So I would check that less than 3 seconds. I'm also going to check your arms, if you can put them out like this, for any, for her peripheral veins, see if there's any phlebitis. I don't see any redness or swelling. There is no warmth, and you're not in any pain, so there's no phlebitis. I would also check,
My legs are so hairy.
oh, you're fine. I would also check the legs for any phlebitis, and I see none. And then I would also do the edema. So I just feel up, and if there was, I would go up as high as the edema goes, and the scale is +1 is 2 centimeters deep, +2 is 4 centimeters deep, +3 is 6 centimeters deep, and +4 is 8 centimeters deep. And so I see that everything there is okay. There is no edema. And so now I'm going to palpate your joints. Okay. And you just tell me if you have any pain. Feel the shoulders.
No.
There's no warmth or tenderness. Elbows.
No.
Wrists.
No.
I feel the hips. No pain, no tenderness. The knees.
No.
And the ankles.
No.
And you could do the fingers and the toes if you wanted to, but I've already looked at her fingernails and stuff, and I didn't see anything with her fingers. And then I would do her range of motion.
Okay.
So we're gonna do your sternocleidomastoid, so you just push your head against my hand. And then trapezius, we're just gonna have you shrug. And then deltoid, can you push up on my hands? And then can you put your arms up like this for me? And we're gonna check triceps and biceps. I think that was rotated triceps, biceps. There we go. And I would check her wrist. So can you just put your hands like this? Perfect. And then spread your fingers and don't let me push them together. Great. I'm gonna check your hip abduction, or this would actually be adduction. So push your legs together, push against, and then can you kick out for me? I think that's quadriceps. And then pull back, hamstrings. And then can you push against my feet? Or push your feet against my hands and then push up. Perfect. Wash my hands again. We all good on those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thought so. And then I'm gonna have you stand up for me. Okay, hold on. I won't look. Okay. Okay, can you just bend at the waist? And I'm checking for any kyphosis, scoliosis, lordosis. So scoliosis would be a curvature in the spine. Kyphosis, you can stand back up, Amber, would be hunched at the top, and lordosis would be kind of curved in at the bottom, and I don't see any of that. And then can you walk 3 steps that way? And come back. And I am just assessing the gait. And then if you would remain standing, I'm going to do the Romberg test. So can you close your eyes, check for any swing, and I see that there is none, and you can sit back down. So for neuro, you would also check the gait, but since I already did that, I'm not going to do it twice. So we're just going to move on. And then you would also check for kyphosis, lordosis, and scoliosis again, but I already checked Amber for that, so I'm not going to do that. Neuro, I would ask some questions, and she's answered all of them throughout the assessment, so I know that her memory and her neuro activity is...
Level of consciousness.
Yeah, level of consciousness, her LOC, is perfect and whatnot. And so then I would do the Babinski reflex. And so I would take my finger or a pen light or anything, probably be best to use a pen, and I would go up from the outside of her heel to her pinky toe and then over on both sides. And this is more common in babies, it's abnormal if it's an adult, and I didn't see any of that. So that is good. And then I'm gonna have you touch my finger and then touch your nose. Perfect. And so what I've already tested for this would be the cranial nerves. Optic, we did her peripheral vision already. Olfactory, I'm gonna have you smell something for me. So if you wanna close your eyes, just smell what's on my finger.
Hand sanitizer.
Yeah, okay. We already did her oculomotor because I was with the eye movements. And I am just gonna use a glove for this. So Amber, I'm gonna have you close your eyes, and you're just gonna tell me when you can feel the glove on your face, and tell me where it's located.
This cheek.
Okay.
Right up on my temple on the right side.
Perfect. Okay. And then we had already tested trochlear because that was the eye movement. Accessory we already did when we tested the trapezius muscles when she shrugged. Facial, can you just give me a big smile? Perfect. And then abductions, we've already tested with the eye movement. I'm just gonna feel your trachea, and I'm gonna have you swallow for me, okay? Perfect. And so we tested that, which I would have done that back in neck 2. I can't remember if I felt the trachea, but you would have done that. And then glossopharyngeal we did when I had her say "oh" when I was checking her tonsils. And then auditory we tested with the sound with the glove. And hypoglossal we tested with the tongue movement. So we're all good with those. Okay, and now I am going to go ahead and test respiratory. And so Amber, you're going to have to take off your shirt. I apologize. If your client was uncomfortable with just being in just their shirt, you could have them wear a gown. You know, you want to do privacy as much as possible with curtains, doors, gowns, blankets. really anything. And so I would just assess her breathing. Let me see if she's breathing normal. And Amber, do you have any breathing problems?
No.
Do you get really out of breath when you're exercising?
Yes.
Are you a smoker?
No.
Okay. And so I'm just going to inspect, and I see that everything's good. And I'm just going to touch you a little bit, if that is okay.
Yep, that's fine.
I'm just going to palpate the anterior thorax. And I'm also going to palpate the posterior right now, simply because while I'm doing this, I'm also looking at the 2-to-1 ratio. So you want her side to be 2 of her anterior and posterior, and I see that it is, so you're all good there. I'm going to grab my stethoscope, and if you want to lay down for this, you can, or you can stay sitting up.
I'll just stay sitting up.
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and listen to Amber's lung sounds. Take a deep breath for me. Deep breath. Deep breath. Deep breath. Okay. Okay, and I see that all of Amber's lung sounds in the front sound normal and are all good. I'm also going to just go around and check her posterior thorax. Amber, do you want to put that on so I don't see it?
I know.
Okay. And while I'm here, I'm just going to palpate your anterior or your posterior thorax. So if you tell me if any pain. Nope, no, okay, that's good. And I'm also gonna check for excrusions. I'm just gonna put my hands right here. And Amber, can you take a deep breath? Perfect. And my hands did go up equally, so everything's good there. So I'm just gonna give another listen. Deep breath. Perfect. So everything with Amber looks good respiratory wise. You might just want to move your shirt off. And so I'm going to move on to cardio. And so Amber, I'm going to have you lay at a flat position, which will probably just move these pillows. And I'll put them down here. And I want her laying on her back so I can check for jugular distension, and I don't see any. And then I'm going to raise the head of the bed to 45 degrees. Oh, this bed moves fast. Okay. Put your head back, Amber. Now check for jugular distension. I don't see any, which is good. And so jugular distension would just mean that there is too much fluid going through the system, and that we don't want that. So I'm going to listen. Actually, first, before I listen, I'm going to inspect. And so I'm just going to look at the pericardium, and I am just inspecting, and I'm looking for any abnormal pulsations, and I don't see any. And Amber, is okay if I just palpate? Okay, so I'm just going to palpate the pericardium, or cordium. I don't feel anything abnormal, so that is good. Okay, and now I'm going to listen to the S1 and S2 sounds, as well as the aortic, pulmonic, Erb's point, mitral, and tricuspid. And so I go down second intercostal space, and right over to the other side. Okay, so that's aortic and pulmonic. Aortic is on the right side, pulmonic on the left, and that's where I would also hear the S2 sounds between the pulmonic and like Erb's point, which is better up here. So down to the third intercostal space. Perfect. And now I'm going to listen to your fourth intercostal space where your tricuspid is. And that's perfect. And then on to the fourth intercostal, or fifth intercostal, sorry. And see, midclavicular line, right here at the mitral. Perfect, okay. And so all of those were good. Her S1 sounds, which would be heard down here near her tricuspid and mitral, was good, and her S2 sounds were good and strong. So I'm just gonna wash my hands again. And I'm going to check all of the other pulse points. So Amber, if you want to sit up. And I would go for temporal, carotid, which while I'm here, I'm also going to listen to the carotid. And those are nice and strong. Okay. And brachial pulses and radial. Perfect. And I would feel the femoral, but I'm not going to on Amber. And I would do the popliteal. I can feel it.
I think you honestly just have to point them out.
Yeah, probably. And then her posterior tib, which is on the tib side, it's on the inside, and her dorsal penis on both sides, which she doesn't like her feet being touched, so I'm not going to do that. All the pulses were equal and not fretting or anything like that. And Amber, I'm also going to ask you some questions because I forgot to do that before the cardiac assessment. Do you have any chest pain at all? No. Is there any history in your family of anything heart related that's bad, cardiovascular disease, anything like that? Okay, and do you ever have like a bounding feeling in your chest or threading or anything like that? No? Okay, perfect. So you can put your shirt back on, and I'll wait for you before I keep going. Okay. And now I'm gonna move on to the abdominal assessment, which for this I could get it. For this, I would ask my client to void before coming in, because when you're palpating, you could mistake a full bladder for a mass, which we don't want to do that. So I'd have her void, and I'm still gonna move these pillows.
All right, well then don't put them up at
Okay. Here, we'll do that. And so I would have Amber lay down and have her knees slightly flexed to relax the muscles. And I'm just going to inspect her abdomen, and I don't see any pulsations or anything like that. And Amber, can you please raise your head? And I don't see any hernias, so that's why we have them raise our chin. I'm looking from the side and just checking the contour and the symmetry, and everything is good there. And so I'm gonna go ahead and listen to Amber's bowel sounds with the diaphragm of the stethoscope. Okay, good. And now with the bell of the stethoscope, I'm going to listen to her artery sounds. And so in the lower right quadrant, we're going to start with the iliac. Okay, and we're going to go up to the renal. And then over in the middle is the aortic. And back over to renal on the other side. and then iliac on the lower left quadrant. And I would also listen to femoral, but I'm not going to do that on Amber today. And so I'm going to percuss in each quadrant. Okay, and I'm also going to palpate, and if someone were to be super ticklish, like a child or anything, when you're palpating, you're gonna use your hand as an example. I would have them palpate with my hand over it until they get used to the feeling, and then I would go ahead and palpate the rest of the areas by myself. So I'm just going to feel, and we're gonna use light palpation, which is 1 or 2 centimeters. Are you having any discomfort, Chell? Okay. Perfect, and I don't feel anything abnormal, so Amber is all good to go. And this is where I would end my assessment, and I would ask Amber, I have some time, is there anything else I can do for you? Nope. Okay, and I would go document.